Also new tonight, we are taking a closer look at social media use and teen mental health. Now, often we focus on how much time teenagers spend on social media, but recently a team at the University of Iowa took a different approach. After poring over more than 80 studies, they found that not all social media usage is equally harmful. Here to explain this is one of the researchers, Jonathan Platt, an assistant professor of epidemiology at the University of Iowa. Jonathan, thank you so much for your time with us today. So, what are the biggest risks posed to teenagers?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Social media has become, a huge part of young people's lives, of all of our lives, but young people, especially, they spend about 5 hours a day on social media on average. Some people report using about a third of young people report using it almost constantly throughout the day. That includes overnight. So there are a lot of, risks from that. I think direct and indirect risks. We can talk about sort of the addictive nature of social media platforms today. But indirectly, they also displace really important things, of course, like sleep, which is important for everyone, but especially young people, and other, extracurricular activities, other activities that don't involve screens and can really impact mental health down the line.
Hmm. So, when we're talking about things that are most harmful when it comes to social media, I'm thinking about my timeline and what these apps choose to show us. How do
Mhm.
the algorithms play into this and into your research?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's important to recognize, I think we do, and it's a part of the conversation, that these algorithms are not a linear feed of our, like you said, our timelines. About 7% of the content that people encounter on their platforms is from people that they know. The rest of it is from things that are pushed to them from external sources, from the news, highly sensationalized things, highly, again, emotionally arousing things. So all of those features, I think, really are at odds with, I think, what we originally, I would argue, signed up on these platforms for, which is to interact with our friends, with our family, maybe meet new people or find new communities that we didn't know about, but do so in sort of an organic way that was in line with our sort of goals and priorities for how we spend our time socializing.
Yeah, I'm even thinking back to, 10, 15 years ago when you had to post on your Instagram like at just the right time because your feed was just chronological order of when people were posting.
Yeah,
And now it's like I can scroll on Instagram for 10 minutes and not see anybody that I'm even following come up in my feed.
right.
So what about a teen's behavior in real life? I mean, you cited that national study at the top that talks about, nearly a third of all teens in the US say they're on social media constantly.
Mhm.
But there are moments when people are not on social media, and how does that influence the behavior that we're seeing in teens?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think we all have experience with that, right? Where it makes me feel like an old person sometimes, but just interacting with young people now, there's a lot of discomfort with silence in conversation once the small talk has been sort of concluded. People are, I think, sort of making eye contact and dealing with kind of uncomfortable in-person situations can be really challenging, right? Or just sort of feelings of boredom, right? So I think you see kinds of those kinds of things anecdotally, and of course that I think has implications that we need more research to really understand how it's changing the reward processing parts of the brain and ways in which might influence mood disorders or other kinds of ADHD and other kinds of disorders could be potentially related to those changes. Again, with young people in adolescence, this is a really important time for the development of social skills and social networks and independence, right? Self-esteem and creating that independent identity away from your parents and your family, more towards who you're going to be as an adult. And so I think the social media platforms and the way that they are sort of set up has the potential to really disrupt those processes in ways that we're only really starting to see now, given how long people have been using social media and the generations that are most affected.
So then that leaves the question of what steps can individual families and parents take to help address this? We've talked about the ways that countries can make moves or lawsuits can help make a difference, but what about within your own family?
Yeah, great. And I think this is a really timely question going into summer when kids are going to have a lot more free time. Of course, first, I think it's important for parents to be able to just normalize talking about social media with their children, to have it be not I only want to talk about this when I'm scolding you about it or when there's, when you're in trouble, right? You talk to them about, oh, you just said that thing about this news article or just some comment. Where did you see that? Oh, you found it on social media. Can you tell me more about how it was presented to you and who it came from and those kinds of things to just really develop a rapport or sort of norms around discussing the influence of social media that is in all of our lives, right? And I think that's another thing that we should stress is adults and parents modeling healthy social media use behavior too, setting boundaries around not having your phones in sight at the dinner table or after certain hours, no phones in bedrooms, those kinds of things. And then also sort of advocating to your representatives that this is an important issue. We care about our young people and everyone should. It's a bipartisan issue. And we want, what are you doing to make social media safer for young people?
Jonathan, your guys' research is very wide-ranging, and it was such a treat to dive into it. Thank you so much for your time today and for chatting with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And for you guys at home, if you want to check out their full report, you can find it up at WQAD.com underneath the As Seen on TV tab at the top of the homepage.